During resolution, we will also commence the second phase, which is called discovery. Now, discovery is when we start to research things. When we're in resolution and we're doing inner work, necessarily we're going to start trying to find out stuff about, what's going on with us, what do we need to do to fix it. And quite often our guides use that research to start directing us towards spiritual practice or to start directing us towards spiritual ideas. So quite often people come into spiritual practice not intending it for spiritual purposes. For example, I myself started to fast because I was suffering from chronic fatigue, and I learned that chronic fatigue could be cured by fasting or alleviated by fasting. So I got into fasting practices with no idea whatsoever about spiritual awakening. But now that I am in awakening, or I'm awakened, I am using fasting practices all the time, daily and extended fasts from time to time. What will also happen though in discovery is, as connection starts to switch on, the connection phase starts to switch on, which we'll talk about in a moment, then we're trying to understand what's happening to us. What's all this weird and wonderful stuff that's kind of floating across our mind and coming into our consciousness. And that's when we might start getting into more of the metaphysical texts, or we might start getting into some of the really fringe science. That was an area that I explored in a great deal of detail. And then of course you might go right to the esoteric text. You might go right back to the old stuff, the Bhagavad Gita, for example, and all the Buddhist texts, or you might just read the modern spiritual texts. I read a lot of Dolores Cannon, for example. So there is a period during which the discovery phase becomes really prominent, and that is alongside connection. We really devour as much information as we can about all of this new stuff that is that we're starting to discover. It does continue into, we tend to take a break in the spiritual dark night of the soul. We don't really have a lot of energy. We're a bit over it all temporarily. When we come back out into higher learning, called higher learning for a reason, we then start to research again in a great deal of detail. But it does tail off. It will tail off towards the end of higher learning. It will tail off in ascension. By the time you get to actualization, you're really not researching that much at all, unless it's very specific information that you're looking for, which is often pertaining to your mission, or just to the last little bits of stuff that you need to resolve in your own system to reach your full potential, and then your guides will sort of point you towards that. But discovery and resolution, these are both phases that will last pretty much the entire length of the awakening journey.